Good evening and welcome back to So a Gringa Can Cook. Tonight I'm going to be making my version of a tomato basil soup. Super easy, super quick. It's more of an emulsified salsa, but it works just as well for making that soup. So I have a jalapeno and 2/2 of Serrano peppers, a little handful of my frozen garlic, and I've got 7 nice plump Roma tomatoes. I'm just gonna give them a quick dice, nothing too small, nothing too large, and set those aside. So on my back burner, I've already got my oil heating up. That's going to give a nice char to my vegetables as they fry down. And then once I have them to the consistency that I want, I'm going to be putting it all inside of the blender. And the magic is actually in the oil. So as you add the oil and blend it all together, that is what makes the salsa become a bright, creamy orange soup, basically. So got these all nice and diced, and I'm just gonna add them back here into my oil. Got that nice and hot. Again, I want these to get a nice cook on them. I don't want them to burn, but just some nice coloring, a nice fry. Now, if you want a little bit of a spicier soup, then you can add more of the peppers. If you're okay with it being mild, stick to maybe just one or even none. All right, I'll be back with you as soon as those have cooked down. All right, so I've had these in the pan for probably about 5 minutes now. As you can see, the tomatoes are starting to break down. I did add onion. I had forgotten to do that already, so I went ahead and diced that up. Just nice little chunks that can start to brown in the oil. This still probably needs a good another 7 to 10 minutes to really get all of those vegetables tender. We don't want them to be hard because we want it to be a smooth and creamy sauce when it's done. Alright, so my tomatoes, onions, peppers, and garlic are about the consistency that I'm looking for. Think about stewed tomatoes. That's really where you want this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put everything inside of the blender. Yes, the oil as well. Again, that is what is going to give you that emulsified tomato basil soup. And we also have the basil off to the side. So again, we're just putting everything inside of the blender. Now you can choose which oil that you want to use, vegetable oil, olive oil, preferably an oil that has very minimal flavor itself because you don't want it to overtake your soup. I've done that before and all you tasted was an oily undertaste, and you really want the vegetable soup to shine through. Get all that juice in there again. Don't leave anything in your pan. All right. Gonna put the lid on it. As you can see, it has gotten a bright orange color. I'm going to check for the consistency. I'm looking for a creamy texture, and if it's not as creamy as what I would like, I'm going to add a little bit of oil as it is blending. But it looks pretty creamy. All right, I actually think that the cream is fine. So what I'm going to do now is add a little bit of salt to it. I did not add salt when it was cooking, so now is a good time to go ahead, just put a little bit in there, and then I'm gonna mix it up just a little bit more. moment of truth. Oh, that is pretty. Look how thick and creamy it is. That is going to be absolutely delicious with a nice grilled cheese. So the next part of this meal to tie everything in together is going to be a nice cheesy grilled cheese. So I have my bread right here. Now, typically you put butter on it. However, trust me on this, mayo is the way to go. Now, I personally am not a fan of mayo. I did not start eating my grilled bread like this until after getting with Jose. He made it for me one day and I'm like, you're crazy, but I haven't looked back since. It is definitely the best way to go. So I'm gonna let that crust up. Now while it is crusting up, I've got my queso quesadilla cheese. I'm just gonna go ahead and put a little bit on each piece and let it start getting some residual steaming from the bottom side of the bread, because if you've never noticed, you do start getting the steam coming through the bread as it is cooking. And this is going to pair nicely with that soup. So as you can see, the cheese is starting to get a nice melt to it. I'm gonna go ahead and flip these onto each other, getting a nice color. Oh yes, that's what we like to see right there, that nice golden color. Move these into the center. All right. And here is our final product, a creamy, delicious, warm tomato soup, great for these cooler evenings, along with a nice cheesy grilled cheese. If you try this recipe, go ahead and drop a message in the comments and let me know what you guys think about it. Hope you enjoy.